Hey everybody, welcome back. Got the smoke, got the coffee. So you know what kind of video this is. This is a rambling video. And I wanted to talk about clones. I seen on the internet a couple videos and a couple of thread posts, whatever you want to call them. People talking about clones and today and how come they're so good. Blah, 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 blah. I already made a video just a few videos back. You can go back and watch it. I think it was like, are clones bad for the business? Something like that. Where I talked about, are they bad for the business? No, because they get people buying. Basically simple. That's the answer. No, because if you can't afford a Dior, a YSL, a Givenchy, a Polo even, if you can't afford that, you can get a clone for a third of the price usually, if not less. Sometimes 1/10 of the price when you start getting into niches and real high-end designers like Dior Elixir. And it'll get that person generally to say, okay, I really like this Assad. I'm going to save up and I'm going to get the Elixir. And that happens more than you think. Does it happen all the time? No. It's about a 50-50. Most people will get the Assad, be perfectly fine with that. Another half of people will get the Assad and be, I want to get the Elixir. So in that aspect, no, they're fine. They help their business. The other one was, well, how do they get away with it? How do they get away with it? You know, how do they make it so close? Geographical area. That's how they get away with it. You're not going to get away with it. I don't think you'll ever have a house in North America, or Britain, and I could be wrong, but that are going to do what most of the houses in Middle Eastern countries are doing, because our copyright laws and intellectual property laws and whatnot are a lot more strict. That's how they get. And then the price was, how they do it so cheap. That's where most of the ingredients come from. Most of the people who make them own their own damn farms, own their own oud trees and floral play, or they know somebody who does. So they get them really cheap. That's how. So that's it. I already did a video on that. That was basically the Cliff Notes version. What I really wanted to talk about was a couple things is clones from yesteryear versus clones of today. Clones have a bad rap, and they're starting to slowly, I've noticed in the last, especially 10 years, starting to slowly get away from that bad reputation of being cheap, synthetic, alcoholish, weak, all that stuff. Because when I was a kid, most of the clones I've got, if not all of them, with the exception of one brand, and they weren't even the greatest compared to the stuff coming out, but back then they were. And they're still not bad today, but one brand. But most of the clones, and I'll talk about the brand here in a minute, most of the clones, the dupes that I got back in the day, all I could afford, they were about $10, which that's not that much money. This is 1994. I mean, that's like $20, $25 today. So it's on par with the Latafas and a lot of the Armafs and stuff like that, the Afnans. They weren't that good. But they were all I could afford. But they weren't, and they were all that was around. The internet wasn't a big thing yet. It really just started, so there was no online shopping. It was more message boards and stuff like that, and a few websites. Well, a lot of websites, but nothing. There was no real, online shopping, so to speak. It was very rudimentary, the internet. But it was still there. And it's just what I could afford. And there was a brand that used to be, I don't know if some of you from Canada might remember, Zellers. And they always carried, and I can't remember the name of this brand, and I wish I could, because I would buy a bottle if I could find it, just for nostalgia's sakes. It was a clone house. It was like Cataline or Catalini or Catalin or something like that, Catalin. And they made clones of basically a couple Calvin Kleins and a Polo is all I remember them making. I don't know if they changed into the house that I'm going to talk about that was pretty good back then and still is okay today, or if they just got run over by this house because this house was so much better at the same price. And that was, house is classic match, Belcamp. These were the go-to from the mid-90s for me on. These were the go-to until the last really 10 or so years for dupes. These were, geez, that's getting empty. This is Polo Black. These are good dupes, especially back then, especially as all you had. These are not bad dupes. But even these compared to stuff like Latafa, Armoff, Afnan, Paris Corner, these are not of that quality. These would be more of your Calvin Klein quality, and where the Latafas and stuff are more of your Dior quality. You know what I'm trying to say? That kind of comparison. So not bad, but not that good. And I feel so good for you guys, you young guys that are getting started. I wish I had stuff like the internet and Latafa and stuff like that when I was a kid, because I would have loved them. You know, now, I mean, where these were good, these Latafas, and again, Armoff's off now. And I'm just going to keep saying Latafa because it's the big one right now. It's the big boy on the block right now. But any of them Middle Eastern type houses, they're so good. I wish I had them as a kid. You guys are so lucky that you can get a product at a very, very, very reasonable price that is of some of the highest quality, honestly. It's ridiculous. You know, that smells 90 to 99% exactly like what they're duping and giving you the same kind of performance, sometimes better. Wow. Or they're giving it to you with a twist, which is cool too. You know, they're giving you that. Okay, this is Blue de Chanel with a twist. You know, get a little bit of YSLY in it. You know, like, wow, that is so neat. I didn't have any of that as a kid. I wish I did. So take advantage of it right now, especially you young bucks out there, just high school, college, just starting out in life, and you don't really have a lot of disposable income. Take advantage of that. Get these dupes. They're good. They really are. Don't let a few people on the internet, you know, gatekeepers, so to speak. A lot of them don't even know I'm not a gatekeeper. I just don't know you're a gatekeeper. Tell you they're no good. They're really good. Now, do they make bad ones? Of course they do. But any house, whether it's designer, niche, clone, they all make bad stuff. But the good stuff is still very good. So we do a little bit of homework. But yeah, if you like Dior Sauvage Elixir, you can't afford the $250, $60, whatever it is for a Dior Sauvage Elixir. Get the Assad, $30. It's really good. Actually like it a little bit better. It's a little bit smoother. A little bit more vanilla in it, like I said. So I kind of like it a little better. And it's $30. It's no brainer. Oud for glory and oud for greatness. I can't remember which is which. $350, $400. $40. It's a great dupe. It's a great cologne on its own. And that's another thing. Even if these colognes generally from these clone houses aren't a good clone, they're still a good fragrance on their own usually. So I wish I had them. I really do. The only thing I wish these houses would do is kind of what Belcamp did back in the 90s, the late 80s and the early to mid 90s. Go with one box. Either two things. Either go with one bottle style. This was Belcamp's bottle style for the longest time, and everything was just, you know, something classic match. And then it would be written on the box, you know, their version of Polo Black. Then they changed the bottles up a little later on, but they were still all the same bottle, still say classic match. And then they just had a sticker of what it was. I think this is Aqua di Gio. Yeah. The little sticker says, I can't really see it here, but it says Aqua di Gio, our version of Aqua di Gio. I don't like that. I don't like this. I would like just, so either clone houses today, I'd really like them to go with one bottle type, whatever it is, and put your name on it. Again, Latafa, Latafa number 1, Latafa number 2, Latafa number 3, Latafa number 4, Latafa number 5, Armoff number 1, Armoff number 2, blah, blah, blah. Pick one bottle type and just do that. There's the internet now. People can go on the internet and, geez, what does Latafa number 3 supposed to smell like? Oh, it's a clone of fucking, I don't know, your own. Oh, okay. What's our Moth number 7 smell like? Ooh, it's a clone of Aventus. Okay, one bottle. That's all you need. Or do the opposite and go just all the motherfucking way in. Go all in. Clone the bottles. Clone the names. Clone the fragrance. Like Oud for Glory, whatever it is from Latafa. And Comra to an extent. I'd still even take Comra even a little further and give it a more like call it Angel Tears or something, and give it the round bottle. I would just go all in. If you're gonna do it, go all in. Dupe every mother freaking thing, or get one bottle type and just put your name and the number. Simple. Because I'll tell you why. As a collector, first off, a lot of clone dupe bottles aren't the nicest. I'm going to admit that. They're kind of cheesy looking. And the names are just ridiculous. You got a bottle that looks like somebody ran it over with a truck during a winter snowstorm, and it's supposed to be a dupe of Invictus, and you're calling it Invictory. No, don't do that. Or something that has nothing to do with Invictus, even. It's called friggin' Excelsior. What's that have to do with Invictus? Nothing. So go with, that's just a little thing that, because as a collector, I like when every bottle looks the same on my shelf. I do. And most of you collectors know exactly what I mean. You want them to look. That's why I like collecting the replica clones, because the bottles are all generally the same. I like that. But that's just a thought from me. Just a thought from me. But I just want to get back onto, you guys are so lucky. You young fellas are so lucky nowadays that you have the internet and you have all these brands to pick from that are gorgeous, to create remarkable, rich, expensive smelling fragrances for $20, $30, $40, $50. I'd have done cartwheels back then if I could have got that. Hell, I did cartwheels when I got my first classic match, was with a Polo one, because it smelled so much like the Polo. Now, looking back, would it be on the same level as a Latafa or a Moth? Not quite. It would be just below it, but not quite. But still, it was just, you guys are so lucky. And you guys have options. That's the big thing. When I was a kid, you had basically a dupe of, and this is no joke, you ask anybody who's 40, 45 and under, you had basically dupes of Calvin Klein Escape, Calvin Klein Obsession, Calvin Klein Eternity, Polo Green, Polo Sport, and CK1, Aqua de Geo, and Polo Black. That was it. That was pretty much it. That's what you had. Every now and then you'd find a Fahrenheit one or an Opium one. But for the most part, they were the only ones you could find. We didn't have Creed dupes. We didn't have, these niche dupes. We didn't have top designer dupes for the most part, just a couple. Now you can get a dupe of almost anything, and it's usually pretty dang good for a relatively cheap price. You guys are so lucky. I feel so happy for you guys, because I wish I had it. If I could turn back time. We'll share for you. Sounds like a seal sometimes. So you thinking, anyway, I like Cher, don't get me wrong. Cher's great. But yeah, just enjoy it while you can, guys, because it may be gone tomorrow. It really just depends if these Middle Eastern houses decide to, or the government there decides to crack down on them, because Dior's not going to sell in their region no more if they don't, which can happen. They could be gone tomorrow. Highly unlikely, but it can happen. So enjoy it while you have it, because you may not always have it. So yeah, that was just my thoughts. I just want to do a quick little video on clones of yesteryear versus today and the difference. And the big difference is just the amount of different your choice of variety and your quality compared to what we had is leaps and bounds above but we had leaps. So enjoy, guys. All right, I'm done for today. I've given you like 3 videos. I got a little bit of schoolwork to do and then chill out for a couple hours before bed. Peace, love, be good to each other.